All right, what's up, everybody? It's Dynasty Life. It's your boy Steve here with my two counterparts.
It is the Polish Hammer.
Mr. Bogla himself.
All right, and today we're hitting you with another episode of grading Dynasty teams. All right, so this is a team in our league, and just to go over our league, it's a Dynasty league. 1 QB, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, the kicker, and then we have individual defensive players as well. All right. So just looking at this team off the bat, you got Kirk Cousins, Najee Harris, Leonard Fournette, AJ Brown, Terry McLaurin, Adam Thielen. Go Dirt. He's got Harris in the flex, got some defensive guys, and then, only real guys on the bench is really Ronald Jones, Brandon Cooks, and Mooney. Everyone else is pretty doo-doo, so.
That's foul.
We're just being honest here. The rest of the guys don't matter. Everybody can see
Well,
that.
not really, because I think Rojo right there may
Well, that's what I'm saying.
out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Jones, Cook, and Mooney. The rest of the guys are just, we can pick them up, whatever. But anyway, all right. So initial look at the team. Kirk Cousins, okay, good for the next couple years. Should give you, top 12 numbers. Is a 1 QB league, so okay there. Go both running backs. Boom. Nice hits. Got the nice piece to work around Najee Harris, and then Fournette he should be top 10 as long as Tom Brady's there.
You would think so.
Right. Yeah. What do you guys think about the running backs right off the bat?
He got a nice 3-headed monster there. Damian Harris comes into the season as a good, maybe a RB2, but just with Bill Belichick and the Patriots, you just never know what's going to happen during the season. 1 week he can get 25 carries, have 100 yards and 3 touchdowns, and then turn around and you won't see him again. So, but Fournette, I like. Najee Harris is going to be a really nice piece for years to come. I think he was running back number 3 PPR overall last year. I think they're going to lean heavy on him a lot more this year, albeit with whoever starts at quarterback, maybe Mitchell Trubisky or their rookie quarterback they just picked up, Kenny Pickett. But he's going to be, I think he's going to be the face of this offense. He's going to be the bell cow for this team and also the Steelers. And Fournette, like you said, Steve, as long as Tom Brady's there, you should be able to see a repeat performance. Look at that, running back 6 DPR. So, he should be, right around there with Tom Brady because, just Tom Brady makes everything better. Just sprinkle a little bit Tom Brady on it and you're going to be okay. So, his running backs are really solid.
Yeah, I like Harris.
But with that, I like Harris too. But they they drafted another running back.
Well, there's a couple of things about Harris. I like him for this year. I think he'll be good. I think last year was the absolute ceiling, for him. To repeat that is going to be tough. So I think that was a ceiling. And then on top of that, obviously, it's his last year on his deal. They also did draft, I think, 2 running backs.
And Bill Belichick just doesn't have a history of paying running backs.
No, and you got Stevenson there as well. So, Harris goes, Stevenson, you plug right in, and then you find a backup for that. It just makes sense from a salary cap standpoint. So I don't necessarily like Harris for dynasty purposes in the long run, but for this year, he'll be good for this year. Hammer, what do you think about the running backs here?
Yeah, the running backs are going to be solid. I think with Najee Harris being in Pittsburgh, as Bagala said, it's pretty much Najee Harris's show to run there. So he's going to get the carries, he's going to get the receptions, he should eat up like 32% of that offense in terms of yardage and touchdowns and production. So you like that from that standpoint. Leonard Fournette, like you said, when Tom Brady's there, he's going to get the work. Ronald Jones got shipped out of town. So, Leonard Fournette's a big goal line kind of guy anyway. So even if he wasn't getting a ton of carries, he's going to get that goal line work, and that's good for a solid, 8 to 10 touchdowns a year. Plus, on top of the catches, I think he recorded like 69 catches last season.
Yeah, that was big. That was big. He's never been a receiving threat like that in Jacksonville. Then he comes over to the Buccaneers with Tom Brady.
Exactly.
And Tom Brady's dumping the ball down to him.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if you're looking anywhere between 60 and 65 catches for him, even if he takes a little bit of a dip and goes to 60 catches, you'll sign up for that every day with the rushing production, 4.5 yards a carry, 8 touchdowns, 2 more receiving. So that's 10 touchdowns on the season. You'll take that every day of the week and 2 times on Sunday from your RB2. So Damian Harris, I do like as well. It's just so unfortunate that he's in New England because, as we said, Bill Belichick is notorious for rotating running backs like he rotates his underwear probably. So, it's you can't ever depend on a running back. I forgot the guy's name, but a couple of years ago,
Jonas Gray. There
you go, right? Dude ran for like 180 yards and 3 touchdowns one game and was never heard of after that. So that tells you everything you need to know.
You're different guys they had
how Bill Belichick
worked
about his running backs. Exactly. So, Damian Harris does get the work, though. I do think having Ramondre Stevenson there and in Damian Harris's absence, Ramondre Stevenson proved that he could really tote the rock a little bit.
He looked really good.
And he was able to produce. So maybe that's in Bill Belichick's head where now it's more of maybe a 55-40 split, 55-45 split than maybe a 70-30 as it was last year. So that could cut into Damian Harris's production and maybe make him a flex only with those 2 factors with Bill Belichick's, notorious running back situation and also the emergence of Ramondre Stevenson. So Damian Harris is probably a flex only for me.
Yeah. And then moving up, I guess, tight end real quick, go Dirt. I mean, he'll be top 10. He should be top 10. I mean, he's decent enough. I mean, it's a 1 tight end league, so good guy to have. He could be Hurts' guy in the end zone and the red zone, I guess. How many touchdowns did he have last year?
4.
1, 2, 4. So
4.
Yeah,
that seemed a little low, right?
It seemed like he did a lot more than what he had.
I think maybe that's because by the end of the year, look at the last couple of games, he that 30-point game, I think, stands out because he had 2 touchdowns in 1 game. So I think that big 30-point game stands out, and then obviously followed it up after the bye with another 22 points. So maybe that stands out more.
He did have the yardage. He had what? I thought it said 830 yards. You know what I'm saying? He only had 56 receptions on 76 targets, but I think this Eagles offense is going to go more towards an air attack this year. They brought in the pieces. They brought in A.J. Brown. They have Devontae Smith. They have a decent O-line. I think they're going to throw the ball a lot more and try and open Jalen Hurts up a little bit more. So, but Dallas Goedert is going to see some of that work, and he's a solid tight end. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's solid. I do like him.
Yeah. I mean, they could throw a little bit more, but then again, that's not Hurts' strong suit, so I don't know how much, more you want to throw. But anyway, we could get into that another time. But moving on to the wide receivers here. Okay, starting 3 wide receivers, A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, Adam Thielen. And then you also have Cooks and also Mooney there on the bench. So A.J. Brown, like I said, with the trade, I mean, I keep saying this, he's now wide receiver 2 for me. Terry McLaurin's also a wide receiver 2. I don't know how much better really he can get, even with the little bit, I guess you can say, as quarterback upgrade with Dotson there. And then don't forget Samuel is also coming back as well. So Adam Thielen, solid wide receiver 2. Love him. Just has a touchdown upside. Dynasty wise, I mean,
he's getting up there in age. Yeah,
he's getting up there in age.
He was never a speed guy to begin with.
No, it wasn't.
Mooney, good young upcoming guy, and then of course Brandon Cooks, as this team owners would always say, Mr. 1000 himself. But
Mr. 1000.
I mean, I like who he has at receiver, but McLaurin just doesn't have that top 10 upside or that wide receiver 1 upside with the QB situation, I don't think. I like Thielen where he is there as your number 3. I think that's good enough to count on with his touchdown upside. So I mean, I like the receivers. You can't complain too much. I mean, what do you guys think?
I feel like AJ Brown's due for a breakout year. I don't know. I'm a Giants fan, obviously. I just think that this Eagles, the way they set up this Eagles offense, I think this Eagles offense is prepared to break out. And I'm just a Jalen Hurts guy. I like Jalen Hurts. I think he's going to get better. And I think we'll see it this year. Terry McLaurin, he's been good with all of the quarterbacks that they've had. You know, he probably won't get to that wide receiver 1, echelon until they get a good quarterback. But he's still a decent wide receiver 2, where he's going to put up production, but he's still going to have those down years. Thielen, he's a wide receiver 3 where he is right now. You know what I'm saying? And his with his age and where he is in his career. But it makes for this team to have Kirk Cousins. It just he has the opportunity to double dip, and if Thielen scores 10 touchdowns, he's double dipping 10 times. You know what I'm saying? So that could work for him. But if I like the wide receivers, but if I'm him, I try and take Thielen and Harris, or Harris and somebody else, because of you don't know what's going to happen to Harris beyond this year. And before he touches the field this year, he still has a value now of being a top 15 running back. I take Harris and Thielen, and maybe I try and go get a solid, wide receiver to plug in that wide receiver 3 spot, just because, all of the unknowns with Terry's quarterback situation and AJ Brown being in a new place. But I do feel like AJ Brown is, if he can stay healthy, he's due for his breakout year.
Okay, yeah. And then just going over, we forgot even the draft capital as his dynasty. No first round pick this year, has a second and third. No first round pick next year, has 2 third-round picks next year, just to throw that in there as well. Now, you said you would want to try and flip Thielen and Harris. Is that the only kind of move that you would try and make for a wide receiver?
I mean, I would do that for a wide receiver, but also, I'm not a Kirk Cousins guy. I don't know what people see in him. I don't like him. I don't like that. And yes, he's good for fantasy, but there's going to be
all that we care about.
Yeah, 29, 30, 34, but and then boom, 12, 15. He falls off at certain points of the year, you know what I'm saying? 14, and it's just I don't know. He's good, top 15 quarterback. He'll get you there, I guess. He throws a lot of intos, but if I could try and get Hurts just because he's younger and he has the rushing upside, and for me, I think Hurts is going to progress as a passer, I try and go get Hurts. Maybe I try and flip Thielen and Harris for Hurts, because Hurts is what, 22, 23 years old right now.
Yeah.
And he's young, and his rushing ability keeps his floor very high. Let's say that, because for a guy that right now, as it stands, doesn't throw the ball so well, he still puts up some decent fantasy points, and it keeps him relevant. But if that's a move you could make for Hurts, or like I said, I try and flip Thielen and Harris, or Harris and maybe Mooney or Cooks for maybe a better receiver, because he has a chance. He has some depth here.
So you're talking about flipping Damian Harris, right? Not Najee.
No, Damian Harris. Damian Harris. I don't even know how he got Najee, but that's a conversation for another day. But he wouldn't trade Najee either. That's his golden nugget. So yeah, but if there is a move to be made, it's to upgrade that wide receiver 3 position.
Okay. Hammer, what do you think about the wide receivers, and what kind of upgrades are you trying to make if you're?
I liked AJ Brown, and I think we talked about this when we were going over the draft in our previous episode. I like AJ Brown a lot from a physical. You look at him and you're like, all right, yes, he's a number one wide receiver. But then when you look at the production, you're like, I'm getting wide receiver 2 production when I think I should be getting wide receiver 1 production. So
a lot has to do with injuries too.
And that's a part of it, right? If you're not available, you can't give me anything. You're taking a bagel that week. So, I don't know. AJ Brown's so weird. And now that he's in Philadelphia, I don't know what his value is. I don't think it's as high as a lot of other people. I could be wrong. I think that I really like Terry McLaurin, and I think the best word to describe Terry McLaurin is professional, right? Because he catches passes from anybody, everybody. That Washington quarterback situation's been pretty bad or average for a long time. So whatever you want to call it, as you said, Blanc, you want to call it an upgrade? All right, I'll call it an upgrade to Carson Wentz. What is that? What is that going to mean? Right. That's how I feel about it. So when it comes to Terry McLaurin, he's fringe wide receiver 2. I don't know if I could count on him week in and week out for 15 points, 14, 15 as a wide receiver 2. So for me, on this team, I'm looking at AJ Brown, wide receiver 2, Terry McLaurin, low end wide receiver 2, and Adam Thielen, a boomer bust wide receiver 3. So,
but isn't it so frustrating with McLaurin because you see the talent and you're like, man, if he just had somebody.
Yeah, and what's interesting, because if you remember, the Washington football team / Commanders last year, they went into the season with Ryan Fitzpatrick supposed to be their number 1 guy.
I think that would have Terry McLaurin really good.
I agree. So if you get a guy that, Ryan Fitzpatrick's a turnover machine, but he's going to fling that football and the yards will pile up and the touchdowns will pile up. And I've seen Terry McLaurin make some amazing catches. So I think he's a real professional receiver. I just think the quarterback situation doesn't lend itself to much more than mid-tier wide receiver 2 production, high-end wide receiver 2 production at the very best. And that's talking about, the absolute best that you could squeeze out of that, 85 catches, 1,100, 1,200 yards, 8-9 touchdowns. I feel like that's the ceiling with the current quarterback situation. So you're looking at wide receiver 2 production there. What Bagala said is true. You could move Damian Harris and you can move maybe an Adam Thielen or even Terry McLaurin if you're not sold, because at least with Adam Thielen, you're going to get the touchdown production. The yardage might not be super high, but if I'm going to get those touchdowns, that's going to keep the floor pretty high. So I would even take a look at fielding McLaurin out there, seeing what I could get with a Harris. Kirk Cousins, he's getting a little long in the tooth, but that would be the move to be made. That's what it seems to be made. But as I was looking over this team, I'm like, there's not really one guy outside of Najee Harris that scares me on a week in, week out basis.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like disparage the team, because the team was very close to making the playoffs and it was actually locked into a playoff spot until the last week or two. So
he fumbled the bag.
Well, that's another story for another day, as you like to say. So
he fumbled the bag.
But yeah, maybe acquiring Jalen Hurts is the answer, because like you said, the rushing production can help out. He's triple dipping with
Goddard, yes.
And Goddard and Jalen Hurts getting you to rushing. So it covers up a lot of those other holes or other, mid-tier wide receiver production with some rushing production, and then the double dipping with the wide receiver and the tight end. So maybe go out there, you try and get a quarterback like a Jalen Hurts to pair with his wide receiver and his tight end, and you could, make up for some of that other mid-tier production from the wide receiver crew.
Yeah, I agree with a lot with what you said, Hammer. There's just not anybody that really scares you. I think the biggest issue with me for this team is just the overall value the team has, as in everybody kind of all together. Like, I think AJ Brown's value took a hit after being traded. Terry McLaurin, I mean, what is his value? Who is paying? What are you paying for Terry McLaurin? Who even wants Terry McLaurin? You know what I mean?
I mean, there's people that would want him, but there's a lot more people that was like, I'm gonna stay away from Terry McLaurin.
But what are you going to get from him? You're almost safer just keeping him because you're not going to get the value that you want. And that's my issue with this team. So I think for me, I think I'm keeping Thielen just because of the touchdown upside and because his value won't be that high just because it's Dynasty. He's only got a year or two left, right? So I think I'm keeping Thielen for those reasons. Especially that he can get a lot of touchdowns. So I think I would move. Nobody wants Brandon Cooks, right? This owner's been trying to get rid of Brandon Cooks for the longest time, trying to throw him in trades. Nobody wants him. And Brandon Cooks is just sitting on this bench. He's never going to get in the starting lineup. He's just sitting there. His value is not going to get any higher. So for me, I'm trying to move Brandon Cooks to just get some value for him. Just get something, right? We got no draft capital. Can we get a second round pick for Brandon Cooks? I think so.
Maybe.
I think it's worth a second round pick. I'd give up a second round pick for Brandon Cooks.
You're getting immediate return on value, return on investment for that.
Just to get something out of him. He's just sitting on the bench. Get something that you can try and use to make your team better in the draft.
I agree,
or piece that with something else. So now
I agree, because if you look at it, in his PPR 2016, 62, but outside of that 2019 season, he's wide receiver, a low end wide receiver 1, high end wide receiver 2 production.
So he is, but it doesn't. I've had Brandon Cooks in some of these years, and it doesn't feel that way. It just it does not feel that way, and that's what makes people stay away from him.
Yeah. So I think
if he's your everyday wide receiver 3 or flex, you can't go wrong with that.
No, you can't.
No, but on this team, he's on the bench. I mean, you do still have Mooney there, and I'd probably keep Mooney because maybe his value increases. Over time, maybe he gets better. But Brandon Cooks, I'd try and get rid of. Okay, try and grab that second round pick, or try and grab somebody that's not producing. Maybe that's younger. Maybe you try and get something with upside, something that can possibly do something for your team. Maybe you go out and try and get a Rondell Moore, right, and a second round pick maybe for Brandon Cooks, right? Just something to go along with the pick, something of value. If you don't want to just get the pick, try anything that could throw in there. Maybe Brandon Ayuk is another person you can target, right? And Alan Lazard, Christian Kirk, Claypool, somebody like that just has that somewhat of an upside to give you some kind of value, instead of just Brandon Cooks is just sitting there with his value on the bench. His value ain't going to get any higher.
Dust, basically.
Exactly. So I think that's what I'm trying to do, at least for Cooks, is try and get some value there, and then take that pick and a Damian Harris, or take that pick and maybe a Mooney, and go after somebody that's not doing great at the moment.
Hey, listen, maybe like for me, I know I have like a middle round, first round pick. And if you're going to send me Brandon Cooks and Damian Harris, I give you a middle round, first round pick for both of those guys.
Okay,
but you have to be willing to make that trade. You're not going to get a first round pick only for Brandon Cooks. It's just not going to happen. And I just think this owner holds Brandon Cooks because he sees the numbers. He holds them up there. And yes, the numbers look like that, but I think the book is out on Brandon Cooks. He has big weeks, and then other weeks he's not there. You understand? Look, 5 for 132. You know what I'm saying? 9 for 78, 9 for 1, and then boom, 5 for 47, 3 for 23. You see what I'm saying? Is where 5 for 21. There's too many weeks in there where he falls off. 2 for 18. And I don't want to say this is because he's on the Texans. This is who Brandon Cooks is. Like, even when he was with the Rams and the Saints, he'd give you those big weeks, and then all of a sudden he's gone. So it's kind of hard.
Yeah, now let me throw just a couple other names out there just for upside purposes that maybe you can flip Cooks and a pick for, or maybe you can even do it straight up. But let's say you throw Cooks and a second round pick for a Michael Gallup. Maybe not for that one. Maybe that one straight up. Maybe a Michael Gallup, right? Upside, he's got the contract, he's there. Devonta Smith, somebody that lost a ton of value that maybe you can take a chance on for not much, right
that's
now.
The case,
maybe
he's going all in on Philadelphia if he makes a trade for Devonta.
Yeah.
He's
I
going
think
all
that's
in.
a little bit
that,
too much.
that as well, but for me, I'm looking at just the overall value of it. I mean,
Yeah, but also it's value, and it's also you have to choose the right team to target. I know, like, there's a team out there who has Elijah Moore that is lacking in the running back and the wide receiver department. You know what I'm saying? So what would you can flip Harris and Cooks for maybe an Elijah Moore in the second round pick. You know what I'm saying? Think that way, and that owner might say, you know what? I need guys to take up space because I just don't have enough guys. And with they have a top 3 pick, they're probably gonna go for Garrett Wilson. You know what I'm saying? But this owner does not think like that. And so it's gonna be hard. He'll hold them. He'll hold them to the end of it.
I will say that's a good point though that you make, because when you're targeting a specific player, the team that they're on matters, of course, because that value of what you're giving them might be higher, and they're more enticed to take what you're giving. So if you're looking at a team that's thin at wide receiver, they might be like, hey, if Brandon Cooks is my everyday wide receiver 3, then I can make something happen. So, and also too, you might get back more in return than maybe somebody who doesn't need a wide receiver. You know what I mean? So targeting a specific player, yeah, but targeting the team kind of is just as important, because you may be able to get something more from a team that needs it than from a team that doesn't.
You have to look at it as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, another guy I was looking at for a potential trade would be maybe even like a DK Metcalf. Right now, the value is lower. Maybe you can throw in Cooks, Harris, and a first round pick, even though he don't have one until 2024. But
yeah, he would have to throw his second round, because he does have a high second round pick this year. So he would have to throw his second round pick in for this year to get DK Metcalf. But DK Metcalf is a talent, and he's just not looking good right now. I would trade for DK Metcalf if they somehow, some way, maybe pick up Baker Mayfield. I'm staying away from DK Metcalf as long as Drew Lock and Geno Smith is the quarterback.
Yeah, well, you don't want to rely on him as your wide receiver 1, but if you can buy him at a low price right now, being that he's only, 24, I think.
DK, he's still pretty young, 24.
And he's still on his rookie contract, so he's probably going to be on the move soon.
If he's on the move or if he gets traded, we don't know. So, just another, guy he can try and get out there. But, all right, well, I mean, overall, what do you grade this team, Bagala?
As a whole, with his defense and some of the guys he has on defense, and he does have, young talent on the bench. Like I said, Rojo is gonna have a role in Kansas City. Marlon Mack, he probably gonna get some work early, so he got some depth, and I like his top, his top guys he got up there. I'd give this team. I'm pressed. I give this team a B. I give this team a B. Now looking at it, because you do say it's just there's a lot of boom bust potential on this team, and there's not one solid guy except Najee that you're gonna say, all right, he can call me up for 25 any given week.
Yeah. I agree. All right, Hammer, what do you think? What are you giving this team?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm at a B, and as I said before, it's just because the only guy that jumps out at you is Najee Harris. Now, Leonard Fournette does give you good production, and you don't really look at him as a high-end production guy. But, on a week-to-week basis, overall, the question marks at wide receiver, quarterback, like I said, there's nobody here outside of Najee Harris that scares me on a week-to-week basis. So I'd give it a B. If he does upgrade or if he does go out and get another wide receiver or maybe trades for Jalen Hurts, there's some B+ upside there. But as it stands right now, I'm going with a B.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I was at a B as well. I think B kind of just fits it perfectly, a couple of moves, obviously, that we said we'd probably try and make. Is Jalen Hurts the answer? I don't know. I mean, do you give up what you have for Jalen Hurts? Maybe you do, because you do need the upside. You do need the youngness. You do need the value. And, maybe you do make that move and get Hurts. So we'll see what happens, what they decide to do. But other than that, I mean,
I'll tell you what, I'd be pissed off if I don't trade for Jalen Hurts and Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown start going bonkers. Because then it's going to cost too much to get them.
That's true. That is true. I mean, that is true. But anyway, that is today's episode of Grading Dynasty Teams. So this one's a B. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think. Send us your team. Other than that, we'll see y'all next time.
Adios.
Lock it up.